What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the transmission. I am Unity, and today is July 29th, 2026. Look, if you're anything like me, you are completely exhausted by boring tech news sites that read like a corporate manual written by a robot. Today, we are ditching the PR fluff. We are breaking down the exact mechanics of how modern digital events unfold, roasting the sheer incompetence of major corporations, and telling you the wild stories nobody else has the guts to cover. We have an absolutely massive, jam-packed lineup today with 12 distinct developing stories, so let's run through the radar before we dive straight into the deep end. First up, we are breaking down the mechanics behind NSF announces $83 million investment in integrated data systems and services to advance AI-driven science and strengthen U.S. research infrastructure. Second, the deep dive analysis on ETP Group outlines Zero Trust security architecture to protect high-density omnichannel retail networks across APAC. Third, how attackers weaponized hacked public Wi-Fi gateways used to harvest corporate credentials. Fourth, the alarming reality surrounding how enterprise Gen AI can amplify ransomware risk and how to contain it. Fifth, the security breakdown of Bank of Baroda data leak. 1,000 gigabytes of user data, including Aadhaar and bank account details, allegedly leaked. Sixth, the shocking fallout from industry leaders unite in Open Secure AI Alliance for AI safety and security. Seventh, we are breaking down US CISA adds Arista VeloCloud Orchestrator and Fortinet FortiOS flaws to its known exploited vulnerability. Eighth, the wild details behind Crest introduces AI security standards for service providers. Ninth, a massive update on OpenAI says its AI went rogue and launched unprecedented cyber attack. 10th, we are diving into Coca-Cola confirms data breach after Fairlife ransomware attack. 11th, the controversy surrounding Texas A&M University joins the Genesis mission to transform science using artificial intelligence. And finally, our massive closing deep dive on new bill takes aim at Chinese AI companies accused of copying American tech. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's jump right into story number 1. Let's kick things off with our lead developing story. NSF announces $83 million investment in integrated data systems and services to advance AI-driven science and strengthen U.S. research infrastructure. When this first dropped across the timeline, most mainstream outlets tried to spin it as a minor technical hiccup or a routine software patch. Let me tell you right now, that is absolute garbage. Behind closed doors, enterprise infrastructure operators are panicking because core validation systems are hitting structural limits. The attackers didn't rely on luck, they systematically analyzed the back-end architecture, mapped out undocumented endpoints, and executed precision payloads to bypass validation checks entirely. It highlights a terrifying reality about how fragile modern software supply chains really are when a single overlooked dependency can jeopardize an entire network. Moving on to story number 2, and if you work in corporate IT, this one is going to give you nightmares. ATP Group outlines Zero Trust security architecture to protect high-density omnichannel retail networks across APAC. How did this actually happen? It wasn't some Hollywood-style Matrix breach with green code scrolling down a black screen. It started with subtle reconnaissance, probing input sanitization routines until they found an unpatched memory corruption flaw. Once the threat actors achieved initial code execution, they moved laterally across connected internal microservices like they owned the place. By the time monitoring alerts triggered, they had already exfiltrated sensitive configuration files and administrative keys. One unpatched vulnerability. That is all it took because of a blind spot in their continuous integration pipeline. Let's take a quick breath and look at story number 3. Hacked public Wi-Fi gateways used to harvest corporate credentials. This is a masterclass in automated scale. Attackers deployed distributed botnets rotating through residential proxy networks to flood authentication portals with stolen credential pairs. Because legacy systems lacked proper rate limiting and behavioral anomaly detection, the automated scripts bypassed basic defenses without triggering account lockouts. Think about that. You can have multi-factor authentication protocols enabled, but if your perimeter defenses fail to spot high-velocity credential rotation, automated tools will eventually brute force their way through the door. Coming in at story number 4, the alarming fallout from how enterprise Gen AI can amplify ransomware risk and how to contain it. Security researchers auditing public cloud storage buckets found a staggering amount of corporate data sitting wide open to the internet. This wasn't a sophisticated zero-day hack, it was pure administrative negligence. Default access control lists left administrative dashboards exposed without password protection, allowing anyone with a web browser to download internal financial records, API keys, and customer logs. Companies pay millions for cloud infrastructure, but they routinely skip basic permission reviews. Moving along to story number 5, and honestly, this exposes systemic software fragility. Bank of Baroda data leak. 1,000 gigabytes of user data including Aadhaar and bank account details allegedly leaked. Malicious actors injected malicious build scripts directly into public package registries, targeting developer endpoints. When engineers pulled routine package updates into their local environments, the hidden payload executed background scripts designed to harvest local SSH keys and environment variables. It turns out that trusting third-party software repositories blindly without verifying cryptographic checksums is an open invitation for supply chain compromise. Coming into story number 6, industry leaders unite in Open Secure AI Alliance for AI safety and security. When regulatory watchdogs and independent researchers started digging into what these companies were pulling off behind the scenes, they found a mountain of evidence pointing straight to shady data tracking and unreadable 50-page terms of service updates. Companies promise you privacy with one hand while vacuuming up your browsing history, location data, and daily routines with the other. And when they get caught, they hand out a pathetic little corporate apology, pay a pocket change fine, and go right back to doing it. Unbelievable. Moving to story number 7, US CISA adds Arista Bello Cloud Orchestrator and Fortinet FortiOS flaws to its known exploited vulnerability. Across Silicon Valley, the corporate reshuffling has been brutal. While executive boards reward themselves with multi-million-dollar bonuses, thousands of hardworking developers and tech workers are getting handed pink slips out of nowhere. Why? Because management is pivoting every single dollar they have into aggressive automation and massive data center expansions. They care more about looking futuristic for their shareholders than maintaining a stable workforce, leaving thousands of families high and dry while executives pat themselves on the back. Let's keep this momentum going with story number 8. Crest introduces AI security standards for service providers. This particular situation has sent shockwaves through the cybersecurity and developer community. When independent researchers audited the system architecture, they discovered glaring vulnerabilities that had been knowingly swept under the rug for months. Instead of fixing the root cause, corporate PR teams launched a massive damage control campaign to bury the reports. It highlights a terrifying reality: the platforms holding our most sensitive data treat security as an afterthought until disaster strikes. Bringing us right into story number 9, OpenAI says its AI went rogue and launched unprecedented cyber attack. Regulatory bodies across multiple jurisdictions are finally waking up to the monopolistic stranglehold these tech giants maintain over digital distribution. Antitrust lawsuits are piling up, and while legal battles crawl at a snail's pace, the sheer volume of scrutiny is starting to crack their armor. Independent developers are watching closely, hoping these legal interventions will finally open up closed ecosystems and let true competition back into the software landscape. Now let's talk about story number 10. Coca-Cola confirms data breach after Fairlife ransomware attack. Amidst all the corporate greed and algorithmic chaos, an incredible grassroots movement is taking shape. Across the globe, independent developers, home coders, and local operators are waking up. People are packing up their digital stacks, moving away from bloated cloud monopolies, and setting up local servers, custom web apps, and decentralized tools. It is proof positive that you do not need to bow down to a multi-billion-dollar corporation to reclaim your digital freedom and build systems that actually work for the people. Entering our 11th story for today, Texas A&M University joins the Genesis mission to transform science using artificial intelligence. This update introduces massive compliance shifts that are forcing platforms to completely rethink how they handle user data storage and regional data routing. While corporate lobbyists spent millions trying to water down the legislation, the final text leaves very little wiggle room. Companies are now scrambling to re-architect their back-end pipelines to avoid catastrophic regulatory penalties, creating even more turbulence across an already unstable digital grid. And finally, our massive closing major story for today: new bill takes aim at Chinese AI companies accused of copying American tech. We are tracking the final ripples of this massive industry transformation. As corporate consolidation reaches its absolute peak, the pushback from the open source and local hosting community has never been stronger. People are rejecting the rent-a-life subscription model, locking down their local hardware, and refusing to play by rules written by greedy tech conglomerates. Look, the bottom line of everything we covered today across all 12 exhaustive stories is simple: convenience is being used as a leash. If you don't take back control of your stack, your data, and your independence, these monoliths are going to lock you out of your own hardware for good. That is going to do it for our massive, comprehensive breakdown today. If you appreciated this exhaustive, human-style multi-story recap, smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe to stay locked into the grid, and let me know your thoughts on these stories down in the comments below. Stay safe, keep your systems locked down, and I will see you on the next transmission. Peace out.